been called one by like a couple of drunk people when you're walking on the street at night, but same goes for me. Yeah, like I don't slut shame.
To me, I think slut shaming is basically making a woman feel bad for being sexual or for making choices that you wouldn't make yourself, not respecting her right to do whatever she pleases and have the right to her own body. I think it is a girl problem, but that doesn't mean it's not serious. I think one of the most problematic things about the word slut is that there is no male equivalent of it. And that just speaks a lot about how awful the word is. The fact that women can participate in behaviors that make them slutty or a slut, but there's no word for men like that. That's just such a double standard. And it's shocking to even think that we're still in that mindset, but we are, and it's really frightening. And I think that it's something we do need to take a serious look at because it does lead to things like bullying and, you know, mental health problems and also even like victim blaming in cases of rape. Like it can get really serious, and I don't think a lot of people think about it that way.
My name is Kiley. I'm 22 years old. I work at Sexual Assault and Violence Intervention Services of Halton, and I'm a public educator. So Slutwalk actually originated in Toronto in 2011. There was a police officer at a safety demonstration at York University who was quoted as saying, "Women should avoid dressing like sluts in order not to be victimized." And this is not an idea that was new or that had not been heard before, but for it to be so blatantly said in a public setting to a group of students was what sort of set off, it was sort of the catalyst for Slutwalk as the march in the movement. So it originated in Toronto, and the organizers essentially used the word slut as the jumping off point to say that slut is used to degrade and shame women for their sexuality, that it's used to excuse sexual violence happening to women in their lives, as well as the ways that this affects all communities. So Slutwalk really strove to talk about the ways in which women with disabilities are sexualized in a different way from women of color, from women who have mental illness issues, all these kinds of things. They really tried to broaden the scope and to talk about the specifics. Women in the queer community who could be targeted sexually to sort of try and fix their sexuality. Very quickly it took off worldwide, but the first Solidarity March was actually or the first recorded Solidarity March, I would say, was in London, Ontario, of all places, which was where I went to school. So the first march that happened in London, I attended, and then the following year, myself and a friend co-organized the march that year. So it took a lot of in co-organizing the march, it took a lot of work to, we had a lot of the base of what the previous year's organizers had done, so we had to get speakers, we had to make sure we had tech equipment, we had to figure out the route, we had to figure out how to notify like the city or the police and how we were going to negotiate that. It was an amazing experience and it went really well, and I would just say like the reason why myself and my friend Danielle DeBlock, why we wanted to co-organize this event was to follow in the message that came from Slutwalk Toronto to say that slut shaming was not permissible in our communities, that it had to stop, and that one of the ways that we can protest that message and that thinking is to take up public space, which is one of the ways in which protests can be very fulfilling and very productive, because it's all of these people gathering in one space to say, if you have been slut shamed, if you have been blamed for experiencing sexual assault, or if you've been shamed for your sexual activity, we are all here to say we disagree with it. So it can be very powerful for survivors of sexual violence, as well as anyone who has endured any kind of sexual harassment in their lives.
I think more respect would be someone who doesn't have too much respect for them.
Okay, someone that just doesn't have respect for themselves.
Yeah.
Alright, do you guys know what slut shaming is?
Making somebody who you perceive as a slut feel bad about it.